It's the International Soccer Preview. We are Soccerphiles Canada. Welcome to Series 32, looking at the players of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. This episode is looking at the players of Bosnia and Herzegovina. Part 1, the candidate. Here we go! Hello and welcome to the International Soccer Preview by Soccerphiles Canada. I'm Kevin and this is Series 32 on the players of the 2026 World Cup. This episode covers Bosnia-Herzegovina's players. We have done mediacast for the players of most of the teams, actually not Bosnia-Herzegovina, but most of them have been done within the last couple of years. So if you're interested in looking into a team before we put out the mediacast for this tournament, you can check our back catalogue using the addresses on the screen or in the show notes. Okay, we are doing this mediacast in two parts. Part 1 here is a look at the candidates for the squad and their likelihood of making it. We examine the participation of players in games over the recent period and look at a couple of other factors as well to categorize them into definite, likely, possible but unlikely, and seemingly off the squad. And we'll go into more detail introducing the players we think likely to reach the final squad and less, perhaps even just the names of players unlikely to get there. Part 2 will come out when the squad lists are released and the final squad selected. That'll probably be in late May or early June. And at that time, we'll go back over the list that we create today and see who made it and who didn't. And we'll also cover a couple of other things like updating injuries and in part 2, predicting starters. So this episode has 3 sections. In section 1, we're going to look at some team information, general information on the team there. Section 2 is the main part of the media cast. We're going to go through the team position by position and look at the players in those positions and predict their likelihood of selection. There. And section 3 is a review and some concluding matters. So we're going to use that as a short version of the media cast. So quickly summarize section 2 at the beginning of that. And then we have a couple of concluding matters after that. So let's move on to section 1 here. And we look at some team information. We're going to cover their recent games and we're looking at the participation in players over that period. We begin with the Euro Cup in June and July of 2024. Bosnia and Herzegovina didn't make that cup, didn't qualify for that cup, but it is kind of our starting point. So we begin after that in September 2024. And there we have the UEFA Nations League group stage for the 2024-2025 season. So 6 games there from September to November. And after that, we have 2026 World Cup qualifying. Those are March to June 2025. 3 games of qualifying there. And we also have a couple of friendlies. These are the friendlies kind of on the days off in the World Cup qualifying group. So there was one day in June where they didn't actually play a World Cup qualifier, and then one in October there. Otherwise, they continued World Cup qualifying into the fall of 2025. So September to November there, 5 games, just 1 game in October, 2 in each of September and November, and that makes up the other friendly that we had talked about. And then in March of 2026, World Cup qualifying playoff games. I'm putting that in red because that's really not part of part one of the media cast. We did our research on the players' participation and positions up until the end of 2025. But of course, we didn't know Bosnia and Herzegovina would qualify for the World Cup at that time. So we had to wait until 2026 to know that they did. So we can give you the results of those, but we're not actually including that kind of in our look at the players. Rather, we will include it in part two, which again will come out probably in early June there. All right, so those are the games, a total of 16 games that we're looking at. Let's take a look at the formations used in those games. No really consistent formation, but the one they used the most was a 4-4-2 formation. They used that in 5 of their 16 games. And then two other formations which they used 4 times each, a 5-3-2 formation and a 4-2-3-1 formation. Each of those used 4 of the 16 times, or 25% of the time. So, yeah, I tend to think of Bosnia and Herzegovina more in a 5-3-2 formation, especially at the beginning of the period. And then towards the end of the period, the 4-4-2, but for some reason I think of them in the 4-2-3-1 at the end of the period. Anyway, we do have some analysis on that, and they use a 2-man central defense in 75% of the games over the period, and a 3-man central defense in 25% of the games. Again, that towards the beginning of the period. More than towards the end. So that is 3/4 of the time a 2-man central defense. Otherwise, they use a single forward only 38% of the time there. Bosnia-Herzegovina prefers a 2-man forward line, which they've used 62% of the time, or about 2/3 of the games over this period. Okay, that's it for the formations. In terms of upcoming games, well, in a sense, because we're not really covering the March games in terms of the participation and squad, but we do have the result of that game, of those games. The first in March 26th of this year, they played the 2026 World Cup qualifying playoff games and beat Wales on penalty in Wales there, and then went on to the second playoff round where they met Italy. That took place in Bosnia-Herzegovina, and they also beat Italy on penalties, which is why they're here and why we're doing this media cast on the team. But again, we will look at those lineups, so we're kind of saving those lineups for part two. Otherwise, they have scheduled a couple of friendlies already. Excuse me. So the first one, May 29th, will be in Bosnia-Herzegovina. They're going to play North Macedonia there, and then they'll move over to the USA, kind of set up their camp, and they have one game scheduled there against Panama, which is a team that made the World Cup also. And we think they may be scheduling some more. But we'll have to wait and see. We'll let you know in part two if there are any further games scheduled. So that's the team information. Let's get down to business on the players as we move to section 2. And we're going to begin with the manager situation here. So we're going to put just the one name on the list here, and it's Sergei Barbares. The manager, you'll see his name is in orange. That generally means kind of a new player on our radar, or in this case, a new manager, Sergei Barbares. So let me tell you the kind of the narrative of the manager situation. The previous manager was Safo Milosevic, and he was brought in actually under a short contract to try to salvage Bosnia-Herzegovina's struggling Euro 2024 campaign. So they weren't doing that well when he came in, but he did win his first match about halfway through the campaign over Liechtenstein. But the game after, they suffered the team's heaviest home loss ever, a 0-5 loss to Portugal there at home. And eventually the campaign didn't turn out that well. They finished fifth of sixth in the group. However, due to their Nations League record, they did make it to a playoff round, kind of similar to the playoff structure for this World Cup. In that case, though, they lost the first of those two rounds to Ukraine. And Milosevic's contract was not renewed. I might say they seemed to make a lot of changes to the team after that Euro 2024 campaign. Immediately after, in April 2024, Barbarez came in, and he had two tough friendlies in June to begin with, playing England and Italy. They lost both of those games. And then they had a tough Nations League A campaign, Nations League A, where they finished last in the group behind Germany, Netherlands, and Hungary, and they were demoted to League B. Nevertheless, and I should actually go back and say that Milosevic was not fired. He was under a short contract, and that contract was not renewed there. Barbarez is under a longer contract, actually, and despite being knocked out of League A, he retained his position, and in March 2025, Barbarez began the World Cup campaign, where they were very competitive, actually, much better than Euro 2024. In fact, they almost held on to a lead against Austria in the last game, which would have had them finish first and qualify automatically. However, they ended up tying that game, finishing second in the group, and went to the playoffs as a second place finisher. And you saw in section one what happened there. They beat Wales on penalties and then Italy on penalties, and here they are at the World Cup. So let's take a look at Sergei Barbarez. He was a player for Bosnia and Herzegovina, 47 caps and 17 goals. That's a pretty good return from 1998 to 2006. Club-wise, he was with Bayer Leverkusen in Germany. All of his clubs actually in Germany. Hamburg for 6 years and Borussia Dortmund also. However, he did not play in any major tournaments, Bosnia-Herzegovina not qualifying for tournaments. In terms of a manager, this is his first managerial gig, coming in April of 2024 as the manager of Bosnia-Herzegovina, and here he is at the World Cup managing the squad. I gotta say, we're not going to consider him a definite candidate. We think there may be a chance. Bosnian and Herzegovinian fans will know better. He's probably pretty beloved for getting them to the World Cup, but also fairly inexperienced. So from the outside, I think there is a possibility of them perhaps wanting a more experienced manager taking them through the cup, but I may be completely wrong, and there's equal possibility, or perhaps even more, that they're delighted with him getting him there, and then want him to manage through the cup. Anyway, Sergei Barbarez, the manager, and we move on to look at their goalkeepers. So we have as a definite candidate Nikola Vasilj. And I'm really not sure about the pronunciation of names here, so you'll have to bear with me. He is a definite candidate, and then we have two candidates at the possible level, or at the likely level, I should say. The first one is Martin Zlomislic, and the second is Osman Hadzikic. You'll see that their names are in orange. That basically means they came into the squad during this period. They're kind of new on our radar. But we don't actually have a big file for Bosnia and Herzegovina because they haven't really qualified for many cups there. However, Nikola Vasilj was on our list for some reason. Okay, and then beyond those candidates, we have at the possible but unlikely level Vidad Muftic, and we have seemingly off the squad Asmir Begovic. I probably should add a couple of other goalkeepers. Well, I'll talk about it in a bit of a summary of the position here, and maybe I'll give that summary before we move on. So, 2024, before the Euro Cup actually happened, started with a bit of a changing of the guard after that playoff loss to Ukraine in March of 2024. Ibrahim Sehic had been the starting keeper there, and his backup was Kenan Piric. Sehic's last game ended up being that playoff loss to Ukraine. Kenan Piric continued on for a short time. He actually played the June 2024 friendly against Italy there, and that was his last appearance for the squad. He was on the bench for a couple of games after that. But really, Vasilj took the starting position from there. We'll say from September of 2024, kind of took over the starting position. So that brings us to talk about the players. Nikola Vasilj, with Bosnia and Herzegovina since 2021. He has 23 caps there, and he is 31 years old. I'm just organizing there, and plays for St. Pauli in Germany since 2021, and was with Zoria Luhansk in Ukraine before that. Excuse me. All right, I got that out of my system. Vasil started 15 of their 19 games over the period, and he was on the bench for 3 games and just one match that he was not selected for. So definitely looks like the starting keeper here, although predicting starters is really something we're going to do in part 2. Our focus here is really focusing on the candidates and their likelihood of reaching the squad. Let's look at our first likely candidate, Martin Zlomiclic. He's been with Bosnia and Herzegovina since 2024, 2 caps for him, and he is 28 years old, plays for Rijeka in Croatia since 2021, and got his first appearance on the bench in October of 2024. As we said, started 2 games there and was on the bench for 10. And just 2 matches that he was not selected for. So a likely candidate. The other likely candidate is Osman Hadzikic, and he has no caps for the national team. He's 30 years old and plays for Slaven Belepo in Croatia since 2025, and with Velez Mostar in Bosnia and Herzegovina before that. Hadzikic got his first appearance on the bench in June of 2024, so a little bit before Zlomiclic there, but he didn't start any of their remaining 18 games. However, he was on the bench for all of them. So actually the 3 keepers look pretty set for the cup there, but there is the small possibility of Vidad Muftic coming in. He has no caps for Bosnia-Herzegovina and is 25 years old, and he plays for Zaljenskar in Bosnia and Herzegovina since 2020. That seems to be the major club in the country. Muftic got his first appearance in June of 2025. Didn't start any of the remaining 8 games, but was on the bench for the first 2 and then not selected for the last 6 matches. So it looks like they gave him kind of a look at and decided to go with other players. Finally, we have Asmir Begovic, seemingly off the squad. I'm kind of putting him there because he's a Canadian have connections to Canada. So I won't go into much detail on him, but 63 caps for Bosnia and Herzegovina between 2009 and 2020. And the last tournament that they qualified for was the 2014 World Cup, and he was the starting keeper in that. I don't think we have many players that date back to that other than Edin Dzeko here. I'm just looking and seeing when he last appeared. It seems to be in 2020, his last game for the team was, but I don't have a record of his last appearance. So he may have been, for example, on the bench after that. Anyway, Asmir Begovic, along with the two players we mentioned there, um, um, Ibrahim Sehic and Kenan Piric, all seemingly off the squad there. On we go to defenders, and we begin with central defenders here. We'll create the list, beginning with Nikola Katic as a definite candidate. And then at the likely level, we have two candidates, Adrian Leon Barisic and Tarek Muharemovic. We've moved a couple of players who were covering the left back position, which is a position that they don't seem to have a player for. So various players are covering it. We'll get to that and those two central defenders when we get to the left back position. But let's continue. We have possible candidates. Four possible candidates here. The first one is Stepan Radeljic. Radeljic. The next one, Danis Hadzikadunic. Third one, Nidal Selic. And then Iman Kospo, all four of those players at the possible level. We have one at the possible but unlikely level, Erman Bisaksic. And then two players seemingly off the squad, Anel Ahmedhodzic and Muhammad Besic. I know I'm butchering the names here. I do apologize. We will get to those players. Besic actually also in the 2014 World Cup there. We'll come back to him though. Let's take a look at the players in a bit more detail here. We have Nikola Katic then as a definite candidate. He's been with the team since 2024 with 13 caps and 1 goal. He's 30 years old, so quite late in joining the squad. He was on the squad of Croatia. He played one game for them in 2017. I'm wondering if he was maybe tied. Maybe that was a qualification game, in which case he wouldn't be allowed to play for another team for 5 years. I'm speculating there. Anyway, Katic plays for Schalke in Germany since 2025 and with FC Zurich in Switzerland prior to that. He's also played in Britain with Plymouth in England and Rangers in Scotland. Spent 4 years with Rangers in Scotland there from 2018 to 2022. Katic got his first cap during this period, so actually his name should be in orange. June 2024 was his first cap in those friendlies, and started 10 of their remaining 18 games, subbing in for 3 and on the bench for 2, suspended on yellows for 1 and not selected for 2. So we have Nikola Katic as a definite candidate here. Down to our first of 2 likely candidates, Adrian Leon Barisic, and he's been with Bosnia and Herzegovina since 2023 with 15 caps and no goals, and he's 25 years old, playing for Basel in Switzerland, or at least on their roster since 2023. Recently, he's been loaned to Braga in Portugal since 2026, and he played for Osijek in Croatia before that. Adrian Leon Barisic started 11 of their 19 games over the period. He was on the bench for 2, injured for 3. Those were the first 3 matches of the period, and not selected for 3 others. But that includes the last 2 matches. So he would have been definite, but that kind of moves him down a notch. Always leaves us a bit uncertain when players are added or not selected at the end. So Adrian Leon Barisic, we have him as a likely candidate. Next, we have Tarek Muharrimovic, and he has been with Bosnia-Herzegovina since 2024 with 12 caps and 1 goal. He's 23 years old and plays for Sassuolo in Italy since 2025 there. And he was born in Slovenia, actually. A lot of these players were born out of country. Muharrimovic got his first cap in June of 2024. He started 7 of their remaining 16 games to the end of up until the end of 2025 is where we're going with this participation. And he subbed in for 3 and was on the bench for 3. The 5 games he missed, he was with the under-21 team for 4 of them and not selected for just 1 match. So Tarek Muharrimovic, a likely candidate here. The first of our 4 possible candidates is Stepan Radeljic. I think I did a little better on the name there. And he's been with Bosnia and Herzegovina since 2024 with 4 caps and no goals. He is 29 years old, so again, a late joiner here. He's playing for Rijeka in Croatia since 2023 and got his first cap right at the beginning of the period in June of 2024 and started 4 of their remaining 18 games. He was on the bench for 3 and not selected for 11 matches, including the last 5 matches. So actually seems a bit unlikely. I think I am going to move him down there because that's quite a few matches to miss. So let's put him down to the possible but unlikely level. And next we have Dennis Hadzikadjunic, and he is with the team since 2020 with 30 caps, and he's 28 years old. He plays for Rostov in Russia and has been with them since 2018. However, he's been loaned out, especially recently, to Sampdoria in Italy since 2025 and Hamburg for 2 years before that, a couple of other teams besides. He played for Malmo in Sweden, a couple of stints with them. He was born in Sweden, Hadzikadjunic, and for the recent period, he started 3 of their 19 games from the start of 2024 to the end of 2025. He was subbed in for 2 and on the bench for 3. However, he was out with 2 separate injuries for 4 matches and not selected for 7. So we have Hadzikadjunic as a possible candidate here. Next is Nidal Selic. No caps for the team yet. He's just 20 years old and plays for Lens in France since 2025 and with Sarajevo in country there before that. Selic's got his first appearance on the bench in November of 2024. Hasn't started any games or even subbed in, but he was on the bench for 2 games with the under-21 team for 8 matches and not called up for 2 others. So Nidal Selic, a young player who we may see growing into the squad. Finally, we have Iman Kospo. He's with the team since 2025. He got 1 cap. He's even younger than Selic, just 19 years old, and plays for Fiorentina in Italy since 2025. He was also with Barcelona's youth club before that, 2023 to 25 there. Kospo was born in Switzerland, and he got his first cap for Bosnia and Herzegovina in September of 2025. He didn't start any of the remaining 6 games there, but he subbed in for the first one, and he was on the bench for 2 others, but not selected for 3 games, including the last 2 matches. So these 2 young players will kind of have to see how things develop for them. Maybe part 2 will give us some insight. Okay, well, we have covered Stepan Radovicic. Let's look at the other player at the possible but unlikely level. It's Erman Bisaksic there, and he's been with the team since 2013 with 43 caps and 3 goals. He is 36 years old. And he also plays for Seljanikar in Bosnia and Herzegovina, but spent some time with various German clubs, especially Hoffenheim in Germany, where he was who he was with from 2014 to 2023, 9 years there. Bisaksic was part of the World Cup squad in 2014. He started and finished game 1, but didn't appear after that. And over the recent period, he did start 6 of their 19 games, as well as subbing in for 2 and on the bench for 3. But he was not selected for 10 of the matches, including the last 9. So as I've said, it's a bit of an overhaul for Bosnia and Herzegovina. He's one of the kind of the old guard there, but it looks like he's not making it into the new era here. That's Erman Bisaksic, a possible but unlikely candidate. And then we have 2 seemingly off the squad players. The first one is Anel Ahmedhodzic, last appeared for the team in June of 2024. The second one, Muhamed Besic, was also a part of the 2014 World Cup, a starter in that tournament. But I'm not sure why I have him on the list here. Because he's been off the team for a long time. I have him playing up until 2022 there, but seems well off the squad now. So perhaps a mistake to have him on the list here. Let's go on. For John, we will, to the left backs. And this is a position they don't actually have any viable players coded for. So really, it's been out of position players coming into play. We have 2 central defenders on the list here. But later on, we're going to meet right back Dedic and defensive midfielder Brnić, both of whom have also been helping to cover the position. So the 2 players we have here are coded as central defenders, but they've been playing in this position over the period. The first one is likely candidate Nihad Mujakic. And then we have possible candidate Sead Kolasinac. And we do have 1 player coded as a left back, but he is seemingly off the squad. It's Eldar Sivic. So let's take a look at these players. They may have played in central defence over the period, but primarily they were in the left back position when they got their starts. So the first one, Nihad Mujakic, has been with Bosnia and Herzegovina since 2023. He has 10 caps and 1 goal and is 28 years old, playing for Partizan in Serbia since 2024, but actually on loan to Gaziantep in Turkey since 2026. He was on loan to a different team in Turkey before that. Mujakic started 5 of their 19 games over the period. He subbed in for 3 and was on the bench for 8. So just 3 matches that he was not selected for. So we have Mujakic as a likely candidate here. Down to the possible candidate, Sead Kolasinac. and he's been with the team since 2013, so a veteran for the team here with 62 caps and no goals. He is 33 years old and plays for Atalanta in Italy since 2023. He's actually got a pretty good resume. He was with Marseille in France and with Arsenal in England from 2017 to 2022 there, and also spent 5 years with Schalke in Germany. That was actually his youth club, or one of his youth clubs as well. He did actually play for the Germany underage teams as well. Kolasinac um, was part of the World Cup squad in 2014, so actually more players reaching back to that tournament than I initially thought. He started and finished games 1 and 3 in the World Cup there in 2014, but didn't appear in game 2. Over the recent period, Kolasinac, I'm just looking. Kolasinac, I think it is, started 5 of their 15 games over the period and was on the bench for 2. Out with 3 separate injuries for 10 matches, though. Just 2 matches otherwise that he wasn't called up for. So looks like a fairly viable candidate. And 33 years old is not that old, especially for a defender. So looks like he might be one of the players bridging the gap between their last tournament appearance and this one, Sead Kolasinac. Finally, we have seemingly off the squad Eldar Sivic, and he, well, we won't go into too much detail because he last appeared at the beginning of the period in March of 2024 there, so does seem to be off the squad. Let us continue on to right backs then. Yeah, so just in summary of left backs, they do not have a player coded as a left back, so they're probably searching for one. Meanwhile, it's out of position players covering the position. Okay, on the right, though, they do have players coded as right backs. The first one is a definite candidate. It's Amar Dedic there. And then at the possible level, Emir Karic and Yusuf Gazibegovic. And a third candidate at the possible level, Arjan Malic. And we have no candidates below that level, so just these 4 candidates to look at. Amar Dedic is an interesting player. He's coded as a right back, but has been actually playing on the left, not only as a left midfielder, but a left attacking midfielder, it seems. So some of these players, quite a few of the players, do kind of play out of position in various positions as needed. So they do shift around a little bit. Amar Dedic is with Bosnia-Herzegovina since 2022 and has 24 caps and 1 goal. He plays for Benfica in Portugal since 2025. A pretty good resume there with Red Bull Salzburg in 2 separate stints before that, as well as Marseille in France. Dedic started 11 of their 19 games over the period. He was subbed in for 1, on the bench for 2, and missed matches for various reasons, injury and suspension otherwise. Anyway, we have him as a definite candidate here, and no candidates at the likely level, so we move down to Emir Karic, the first of 3 candidates at the possible level. He's new to the team since 2025, just 1 cap for him, but not a youngster. He's 29 years old, so quite late in joining the team. He's with Sturm Graz in Austria since 2024, and actually was born in Austria there. He got his first cap right at the end of the period here in November of 2025. He started one of their, he started the last of their remaining games. And again, we're not really sure where he stands with the team, so we put him at the possible level coming in right at the end, Emir Karic. Next, we have Yusuf Gazibegovic. Been with Austria sorry, I'm getting confused because he also was born in Austria. That's what I'm trying to spit out. Um, but he's been with Bosnia and Herzegovina since 2021 and has 23 caps for them, no goals. He's 26 years old. He plays for FC Cologne in Germany since 2025, but like Emir Karic, has also been on the squad of Sturm Graz in Austria. He had two stints with them, both on loans actually from FC Cologne. So actually, he is currently with Sturm Graz in Austria, both of those loans. No, the second stint was a loan. He was with Sturm Graz before that from 2020 to 2024. All right, there we go. And we should have him ahead of Emir Karic, actually, because he started eight of the games, eight of their 19 games over the period, including the first seven matches there. He was subbed in for one and out with two separate injuries for four, but he was not selected for six games, including the last four matches. So that's probably why I do have him below Emir Karic there. So Yusuf Gazibegovic, not selected for the last four matches. We have him as a possible candidate. And finally, we have Arjan Malic. He is new to the team since 2025, but has six caps for the team and no goals. He's just 21 years old, and believe it or not, he also plays for Sturm Graz in Austria since 2025 and was with another team in Austria before that. He, unlike the others, though, was not born in Austria. He was born in Slovenia. And Arjan Malic got his first cap in March 2025. He started six of the remaining 10 games. So all of his caps are starts. And he was injured for the four others. So he actually looks significantly more likely than the other two players. So I'm going to move him up on the list here. There. So yes, it will be interesting to see if he is back on the squad in March for the March games. That's it for defense. We're going to move on to midfielders and begin with players coded as defensive midfielders. We have a definite candidate in Denis Burnic. Denis Burnic, and then we have a likely candidate in Ivan Sunjic. Possible candidate, Amir Hadzimetovic is next, and then as a seemingly off the squad player, Rade Krunic there. So four candidates to look at here. Let's begin with Denis Burnic, the definite candidate. He's been with the team since 2024, 16 caps and no goals. He's 28 years old and plays for Karlsruhe in Germany since 2023. In fact, he was born in Germany. He got his first cap for the national team in June of 2024 and started 9 of their remaining 18 games, as well as subbing in for 7. And he was on the bench for one. So the only match he missed was due to a yellow card suspension there. Otherwise, he's always been called up. Denis Burnic, so a definite candidate. Next, we have Ivan Sunjic, and he has been with Bosnia and Herzegovina since 2024. Actually, the exact same situation as a player we talked about earlier. I'll finish though. He has 9 caps for Bosnia and Herzegovina and is 28 years old. The exact same situation is he played one game for Croatia in 2017. That was 7 years ago. So again, maybe he was ineligible to play for another team afterwards. I'm not sure. Anyway, Ivan Sunjic plays for Paphos in Cyprus since 2024. And for 5 years before that, he was with Birmingham in England. He got his first cap in November of 2024, Ivan Sunjic, and started 9 of the remaining 12 games there on the bench for one and not selected for 2 matches. So we have Ivan Sunjic as a likely candidate here. I would say close to a definite pick there. Our possible candidate is Amir Hadzimatovic, and he's been with Bosnia and Herzegovina since 2020, 32 caps and no goals for him, and he's 29 years old. Playing for Besiktas in Turkey since 2023, but actually on loan to Hull City in England since 2025, and he was also loaned to another team in Turkey. He actually has been in Turkey for a long time. He played for Konyaspor from 2016 to 2023 there. And he didn't score in qualifying, but he did miss a penalty. He missed a penalty against Liechtenstein. That was in the 2024 Euro campaign. He was off the team for a while, but returned after a 2-year absence in November of 2025. He didn't start either of their November games, but he was subbed in for both of them. So Hadzimatovic, a possible candidate. And finally, we have Rade Krunic, 34 caps for the national team, but last appeared in September of 2024. He's 33 years old there. And Rade Krunic seemingly off the squad. Up we go to central defenders, where we have quite a few definite candidates here. They often play three-man in the midfield, and it seems to be because they have the players for it. So some of their top players, central midfielders. The first one is Benjamin Tahirovic. And then we have Armin Gigovic and Ivan Basic, all three of those definite candidates. We also have one at the likely level, Dario Saric. And then we go down to two candidates seemingly, possible but unlikely. Denis Hussein Basic and Dino Basirovic. And then one player seemingly off the squad, a pretty famous player for them there, Miralem Pjanic. So we'll talk a little bit about him at the end. But let's begin with the definite candidates. Benjamin Tahirovic is the first of three, and he's been with the national squad since 2023. And he has 24 caps and 2 goals. He is actually only 23 years old, so that's quite a few caps for his age. He's with Brøndby in Denmark since 2025, but was with Ajax in the Netherlands for 2 years before that, and Roma in Italy from 2021 to 23. So a good resume there. But I got to say, it does seem to be kind of moving down in his club affiliations. But for the national team, he started 14 of their 19 games over the period, as well as subbing in for 4. The only match he missed was the first one of the period. So he looks like a definite candidate here. Next, we have Armin Gigovic, and he's almost an attacking midfielder. Actually, he sometimes appears as a central attacking or right attacking midfielder. I even saw him playing as a forward in one game there against San Marino. But he does also appear in central midfield, so we'll keep him here. He has been with Bosnia and Herzegovina since 2024 with 17 caps and 1 goal. And he too is very young at 24 years old. He did play for Sweden. He obviously wasn't cap tied because he played for Sweden in 2023 and 2024, 2 caps for Sweden. He was born there and actually is still playing in Sweden for young. Sorry, I'm mixing up Sweden and Switzerland. He's with Young Boys in Switzerland since 2025. He's also played in Germany and Russia. Gigovic got his first cap in June 2024. He started 13 of their remaining 18 games, as well as subbing in for 4 and on the bench for 1 other. So consistently called up is Armin Gigovic, and playing in a few different positions there. Our third definite candidate is Ivan Basic, and he's been with the team since 2023 with 13 caps and no goals. Also young, 24 years old, and playing in Kazakhstan for Astana, probably Kazakhstan's biggest team there. Since 2025. He also played for Orenburg in Russia from 2020 to 2025. Sorry, 2022 to 2025. Ivan Basic was born in Croatia and got his first appearance for the Bosnia-Herzegovina in March of 2024. He started 5 of their remaining 19 games. He was subbed in for 7 and on the bench for 5. So he is almost always called up, just 2 matches that he wasn't called up for. So maybe not as much of a starter as the other 2, but called up consistently. So we have Ivan Basic as a definite candidate. Let's look at our likely candidate. It's Dario Saric, and he's been with the team since 2022 with 10 caps and no goals. He is 29 years old and playing in Turkey for Antalyaspor. Since 2025, was with Palermo in Italy before that for 3 years. All right, Dario Saric started 4 of their 19 games over the period. He also subbed in for 5 and was on the bench for 3. So he missed 7 matches, but 4 of those were due to injury. Just 3 matches that he was not selected for. So we have Dario Saric as a likely candidate here. Next, we have German-born Dennis Hussein Basic, and he started 2 games over the period and was subbed in for 5 and on the bench for 2. But he wasn't selected for the last 7 matches there. So he's possible but unlikely, as is Dino Basirovic. Dino Basirovic, 31 years old. He returned after an almost 5-year absence at the end of the period here in March of 2025. Didn't start any games, but was subbed in for 1 and on the bench for 1. And then not selected for the last 2 matches. So a possible but unlikely candidate, Basirovic, born in Portugal. So as I said, many of them born outside of the country. Finally, we look at Miralem Pjanic, and he was with the team from 2008 to 2024 with 115 caps and 17 goals. He's 36 years old now, but he is retired from soccer, so he won't be making a comeback here, it seems. He is another of those players who was on the squad for the World Cup 2024, in the World Cup in 2014. And his last appearance for the national team was in March of 2024. So, as I said, a bit of a changing of the guard there after that loss to Ukraine, which knocked them out of Euro 2024. So, Miralem Pjanic, a big name for Bosnia and Herzegovina. Let's move on upfield. And we don't have any candidates left and right midfielders. Actually, we do have Amar Memic, who is coded as a right midfielder, but we've actually moved him to left attacking midfield because that's where most of his games over the period have been. And that's where we move up to, actually, is left attacking midfield, or attacking midfielders in general, and specifically left attackers. So this position, by the way, kind of covers a range. It's kind of our own invention. It covers left and right attacking wingers in a 4-4-2 formation, left and right attacking midfielders in a 4-2-3-1 formation, and even left and right forwards in a 4-3-3 formation. And it's a handy category because we do find it's often the same players playing in that upper left quadrant of the field, regardless of their I don't know where I was going with that. Anyway, so we do have that category. As I said, right midfielder Amar Memic has been moved here because he's played many of his games over here. In fact, he started the period as a right attacking midfielder and then about halfway through moved over to the left attacking midfield. That's where he seems to be now, Amar Memic, but perhaps I'm getting ahead of myself. We've got to populate the list here. So he's a definite candidate. And then we have a likely candidate in Karim Alajbegovic. And then a possible candidate in Nail Omerovic. And finally, a seemingly off the squad player, Luca Manalo. No, sorry, he's possible but unlikely, not seemingly off the squad. Let's go back and look at these players. Then beginning with definite candidate Amar Memic, and as I said, been playing as a left attacking midfielder. He's been with the team just since 2025 with 9 caps and 1 goal for them. He's 25 years old and plays for Victoria Pilsen in Czech Republic since 2025 and was with another team in the Czech Republic prior to that. He got his first cap in March of 2025 then, right at the beginning of the year, and started 6 of the remaining 10 games, as well as subbing in for 3 and on the bench for 1 other. So he's been called up for all games in 2025 there, Amar Memic. And next we have a likely candidate, Kerim Alajbegovic, and he's with the team since 2025 also, and has 6 caps and 1 goal, and is younger than them all. He's just 18 years old there. And he plays for Red Bull Salzburg in Austria since 2025. He was with Bayer Leverkusen's youth club in Germany prior to that, and indeed was born in Germany. Alajbegovic got his first cap in September 2025, so near the end of the period here. He started 2 of the remaining 6 games and subbed in for 4 others, so it's looking quite promising, Kerim Alajbegovic. Our possible candidate is Nail Omerovic. He's been with Bosnia and Herzegovina since 2024 and has 5 caps and 1 goal. Also quite young at 24 years old, playing for Osijek in Croatia since 2022. Omerovic got his first appearance on the bench in October 2024. He only started 1 of their remaining 18 games, but he subbed in for, remaining 14 games, but he subbed in for 4 and was on the bench for 3. There were 6 matches, though, that he was not selected for, and that includes the last 2 matches. So Nail Omerovic, a possible candidate. And finally, possible but unlikely, Luca Manalo. Luca Manalo was actually off the team. He returned after a 2-year absence in September 2025. He just subbed into 1 game and was on the bench for 1 game and then not selected for the last 3 matches. So Luca Manalo, a possible but unlikely candidate. Over to the right attacking midfielders, and we have no definite candidate, but a likely candidate in Esmir Bajraktarovic, and then a possible but unlikely candidate in Enver Kulisin. So just those 2 candidates over here. Sometimes it's a little hard to tell whether it is a right attacking midfielder or a left attacking midfielder. For example, in a 5-3-2 formation, we're not really sure if that's an attacker, and that's sometimes the case. Um, Sometimes they do have central midfielders who seem to be playing a more attacking position there. Anyway, so in addition to Bajrak Tarovic, we do have some of the central midfielders looking like right attacking midfielders there. Anyway, Bajrak Tarovic has been with Bosnia and Herzegovina since 2024, 12 caps and 1 goal, and he's 21 years old. He actually played for the USA, 1 cap for USA in 2024, and he was born in America. He has moved from New England Revolution, who he was with from 2022 to 25, over to PSV Eindhoven in the Netherlands since 2025. Bajrak Tarovic got his first cap in 2024, in September of 2024, starting 4 of the remaining 16 games, as well as subbing in for 8 matches. So just 4 matches that he was not selected for. So we have Esmir Bajrak Tarovic as a likely candidate. The possible but unlikely candidate is Enver Kulisin. He got his first appearance on the bench in October of 2024 and his first cap in 2025 when he was subbed into a game, but ultimately not selected for the last 6 matches there. So we have him as possible but unlikely. That is Enver Kulisin. On we go to central attackers. We only have one candidate here, and it's Haris Hajradinovic. And he's at the likely level. However, he is on the injury list. We'll tell you that after we introduce him here. Hajradinovic is with the team since 2019, but only 16 caps and 2 goals in that time, and he's 31 years old, playing for Kasımpaşa in Turkey since 2019, so has been with them for quite a while. Hajradinovic started 7 of their 19 games over the period. He was subbed in for 2 and on the bench for 4, excuse me. However, he was injured for the last 4 matches, so he missed those games and also was not selected for 2 matches. So we do have him as a likely candidate here. However, he's been out with a cruciate ligament tear since early October. He is, however, expected back in April of 2026. So they'll be hoping for that. Haris Hajradinovic, a likely candidate, but an injury concern. Okay, on we go to the forwards. And since they use 2 forwards in about 2/3 of the games, we do have 3 definite candidates here. The first one, Edin Dzeko, captain of the team. And yes, interesting details on him. We'll come back to that. The other one, or the second definite candidate, is Ermedin Demirovic there. And then the third one, not as much of a starter as the other 2, but it is Samed Bazdar. We also have a player at the likely level here. It is Haris Tabakovic. And finally, a player possible but unlikely, Luka Kulinovic. Okay, let's go back and look at these players. Edin Dzeko, with the team since 2007, a stunning 146 caps and 72 goals, so scoring almost every second game there. And he's 40 years old, born in 1986. Currently with Schalke in Germany since 2026. He's been with a lot of teams, usually for 1 or 2 years over the past little while. Fiorentina, Fenerbahce, Inter Milan. But he was 5 years with Roma in Italy from 2016 to 2021, and 5 years with Manchester City before that. So a very accomplished resume there. He actually was the highest scorer in World Cup 2010 qualifying, second highest in second highest in UEFA qualifying there. So made his mark despite the fact that Bosnia and Herzegovina didn't qualify for the tournament. They did, however, qualify for the 2014 World Cup, thanks in large part to him. He started all three games in that cup, and he had scored 10 of their 30 goals there in qualification. And has continued to score in qualification in campaign sense, even though they haven't reached a tournament. But I will get to the recent times and say he scored 7 of their 19 goals in this one. That included a crucial late tying goals in Wales in the semi-final of the playoff there, and started 12 of their 19 games over the period, subbing in for 1 and on the bench for 4. So just 2 matches that 40-year-old Edin Dzeko was not selected for. So still going very strongly here. He's usually partnered by Ermedin Demirovic. Demirovic with Bosnia and Herzegovina since 2021, but has amassed 36 caps and 4 goals there, and he's 28 years old now, playing for Stuttgart in Germany since 2024, and was actually born in Germany as well. Demirovic started 13 of their 19 games over the period, but he was injured for 4 and suspended on yellows for 1. So actually just 1 match that he was not called up for. The third So that is Ermedin Demirovic. The third candidate at the definite level is Samed Bazdar, and he's been with the team since 2024 with 11 caps and 1 goal. He's just 22 years old, and he did play a game for Serbia, 1 cap for Serbia in 2024, but that didn't interfere with him joining Bosnia and Herzegovina, so obviously it was a friendly. Bazdar plays for Zaragoza in Spain since 2024, but is actually on loan to a team in Poland since 2026. And he got his first cap in November of 2024. He started 3 of their remaining 12 games and subbed in for 8 and was on the bench for 1 other match. So not so much a starter, but definitely called up all the time. So we have Samed Bazdar as a definite candidate here. Next, we have Haris Tabakovic, and he is with Bosnia and Herzegovina since 2023, 8 caps and 3 goals. And I should say those 3 goals came in his last 3 games there at the end of 2025. So starting to find the net is Haris Tabakovic. He's 31 years old there, so quite late in joining the team. He was born in Switzerland, actually, but is playing mostly for clubs in Germany recently, with Hoffenheim since 2024, but actually on loan to Borussia Mönchengladbach there. And he scored 3 of their 18 goals in qualifying. Well, I guess those were in the fall of 2025. One of them, though, was an equalizer against Italy 79 minutes into the final playoff. So that ultimately brought the game to penalties and got them to the World Cup here. So Tabakovic scoring an important goal there. He started only 2 of their 19 games over the period, though. He was subbed in for 5 and on the bench for 4, but he was not selected for 6 matches in a row in the middle of the period. Nevertheless, we have Haris Tabakovic as a likely candidate here. None at the possible level, and only one more to look at here. It's Luka Kulenovic. He was born in Canada. This is where we are coming from in this podcast. So we're always happy to see Canada. I think Asmir Begovic also has a connection to Canada. I might have said that earlier. Um, he got his first cap in 2024 and started two of their remaining 12 games. Subbed in for one and on the bench for one. However, not selected for the last six matches, Luka Kalenovic. So that is the salient detail that has us putting him at the possible but unlikely level there. And that's it. We are finished our look at the players position by position. And so we move on to section 3. And section 3 begins with a quick review of everything we talked about in section 2, which may seem a bit dull for people listening to the whole thing, but we are using it as a short version of the mediacast. That's part of the reason we're doing it, but also as a summary. And then we do have some other concluding matters in section 3 to do after this. But let's go through the team once more and take a look. We have manager Sergei Barbares, very new to management here. His name is in orange, kind of to indicate that. But he did get them to the World Cup here. We consider him likely because we think there's a small chance, or we think there's a chance that they may want to go with the more experienced manager. But we're looking at that from the outside in, and maybe Bosnian fans will know that the real situation, whether they're delighted with him getting them to the cup and want him to lead them through it. Anyway, Sergei Barbares, we consider him a likely candidate. There. Goalkeepers, we have a definite candidate in Nikola Vasilj, and then two likely candidates, Martin Zlomislic and Osman Hadzikic there. And we're not going to cover players at the possible but unlikely level or below that. However, they are on the screen if you're watching the YouTube, and you can see them in the text. We move on to central defenders. We have a definite candidate in Nikola Katic, and two likely candidates, Adrian Leon Barisic and Tarek Muharamovic there, and three possible candidates besides, Denis Hadzikadunic, Nidal Selic, and Iman Kospo there, and that is about the right number. They have six candidates, so maybe that all of those possible candidates will be selected. Let's go to left back position. No one at the definite level, and in fact they don't even have a viable player coded as a left back, so it's been out of position players covering the position, including two central defenders who we moved over here, Nihad Mujakic at the likely level, and Siad Kolasinac at the possible level there. For right backs, though, we do have a player coded as a right back. It's Amar Dedic. Amar Dedic, and we do sometimes find him upfield on the left side as a bit of a left attacking midfielder there. No candidates at the likely level, but three right back candidates at the possible level: Arjan Malic, Emir Karic, and Yusuf Gazabegovic. On we go upfield to defensive midfielders, where we find definite candidate Zenis Burnic, and then a likely candidate Ivan Sunjic, and finally possible candidates, one possible candidate, Amir Hadzimetovic. I put them in the wrong place. They are actually defensive midfielders. If you're looking at the graphic, I put them in a different category. I'm just fixing that now, and we'll move on to central midfielders next. And here we have three definite candidates. It's Benjamin Tahirovic, Armin Gigovic, and Ivan Basic, all of those definite candidates. We also have a likely candidate in Dario Saric. We go upfield then to the attacking midfielders and look at the upper left quadrant of the field with a definite candidate, Amar Memic, actually coded as a right midfielder and did play there in the first half of the period, but now seems to be moved over to the left. Amar Memic. We have a likely candidate as well, Karim Alajbegovic, and a possible candidate, Nail Omarovic. For right attackers, we have no definite candidate, but a likely candidate in Esmir Bajraktarovic. And that's all we have over there. But we do have some of the central midfielders kind of coming into that position as well. For central attackers, also just the one candidate. It's Haris Hadradinovic there at the likely level. And then we go to forwards where they have three definite candidates. Edin Dzeko, who's captain of the team. And I think really the only viable player here who was part of the 2014 World Cup squad, the last tournament that they reached. The second definite candidate is Ermedin Demirovic, and we also have Samed Bazdar. And then one likely candidate, Haris Tabakovic, there. And that brings us to the end of our race through the squad, our review of the candidates. But we have some further business with a review of injuries. And no, sorry, we forgot to do big names off the squad. We do have a few players to mention. Actually, off the squad for a long time now is Asmir Begovic. I think we just like to mention him because he has a connection with Canada. Played for Canada's underage team, actually, Asmir Begovic, but last appeared in looks like 2020. At least that was his last cap for the national team. Muhammad Besic, also seemingly off the squad. Last played in 2022 there. He has 47 caps for the national team. And then a big name in Miralem Pjanic, 36 years old now, 115 caps for the national team, but he played up until March of 2024. However, he's retired from soccer altogether there. So those are three big names, and I think we're missing a couple too because we also had kind of a changing of the guard of goalkeepers right at the beginning of 2024 too. So their starting goalkeeper changed. Anyway, we are moving on to injuries. We really only have one to talk about here, and that is attacking midfielder Haris Hadradinovic. Hadradinovic was a likely candidate here, but he is out with a cruciate ligament tear since October of 2025, and he is expected back though in April 2026. So we can update that when we produce part two, and actually that is what I'm moving on to. A preview of part two. I'm going to skip closing thoughts there and move straight to the preview of part two. Maybe if I think of anything that I should have said, I'll cover it in part two. Let's preview part two, though. That's going to come out when the final squad is published. We may get a preliminary squad, and we'll let you know who made each of the preliminary and final squads. We'll focus on any surprises, so any notable non-selections or unexpected inclusions or new players. There's always a couple of new players that they throw in near the end there. We'll update on injuries, so the one injury we talked about here and any new injuries that come along. And one of the things we like to do in part two is try to predict what the starting lineup is going to be. So that also coming up in part two. But that brings us to the end of part one of Bosnia and Herzegovina. So we hope you join us for part two or for our look at the other teams of the World Cup here. We would like to thank Michael Foster and Pixabay for the wonderful music in this mediacast. The title of the piece used is Look to the Sky, Tribal Dance Beats Native American.